Hi, I'm Adrian Thomas and I'm delighted to be joining you today to talk about executive recruitment. My career has been a long one. I've worked in recruitment in a wide range of organisations, both nationally and internationally, and at all levels, from entry level through volume recruitment, specialist senior recruitment, and I finished my career really supporting the British government, hiring the most senior people into the UK civil service. Executive recruitment makes a huge difference to organisations, and to do it effectively you just need two tools. My little black book, this is mine, all my contacts, all the people I think are going to make great hires to the best companies across the world are all in here. And secondly, my golf clubs, because to get them to accept the role, I'm going to make sure they take the role I've put them forward for. So Jim, you are going to take that chief exec role at Acme. The chairman thinks you're great. I know you're the only person for the role. There's no one else in the frame. That's how it's done, isn't it? Well, no, it isn't. The little black book these days is probably more of a myth than a reality. What makes great hires is hard work, working with the right partners, reaching out to a wide, diverse range of candidates. I'm going to tell you how to navigate executive recruitment using great partners, great suppliers, and making great hires that can make a huge difference to your organisation and you. Whilst all recruitment is critical, executive recruitment is that recruitment which has the biggest impact on the overall organisation. All hiring has an impact on the role it's supporting. You need great people at all levels of an organisation. But it's only when you get to the most senior levels that the impact they have can range across the breadth of the organisation or even an industry. The level of focus you're going to bring to executive hiring doesn't come cheap. It's an expensive process, albeit with few candidates. And that expense has got to be justified by the quality of hire you're going to make. But before we start talking about the cost of the individual hire and how we buy those services, let's take a look at the overall market, the overall staffing market and the executive recruitment element of that. Worldwide, in 2019, the recruitment industry spent £383 billion to hire over 53 million individuals. Executive search within that accounted for £16 billion, making it just over 4% of the market. In terms of the spending split across the top three markets, the USA, £117 billion, Japan, £54 billion, and the UK coming in third with £36 billion, or equating to approximately 10% of the worldwide market. Agencies took 81% of the total spend. MSP RPOs took 5.5%, career transition 0.5%, and direct recruitment, that from within companies directly themselves, 13%, which has doubled over the last 2 years. So, access in the market. A lot of recruiters will hold a LinkedIn license, and LinkedIn offer different services. There's different rates that they charge, different scales that they would expect companies to adhere to in different places in the world. But LinkedIn has become a really good tool. But it's not the only tool, and not everybody's on LinkedIn, and actually LinkedIn doesn't tell you much about people's relationships with other people. Boardex is another tool that does a little bit more on the relationship side, but doesn't penetrate very far down an organisation, just the top couple of levels. There's other databases that people use. There's professional registers, there's regulatory lists, there's membership organisations that you can buy into. So a sourcer, a person who's skilled at identifying the market, who can map markets, will have a wide range of tools at their disposal. So depending on who you are and where you're working and your previous history, you may need to call on some of the bigger firms to source candidates for some of the bigger roles. We have a little slang term for these firms. We call them the Shrek firms. They operate globally. They have an average of 60 offices across the globe each. And Shrek stands for Spencer Stuart, Heidrick Struggles, Russell Reynolds, Egon Zehnder and Korn Ferry. Now, as measured in the top 10 search firms of 2019-20, those rank in the order I said them: 5th, 3rd, 6th, 4th and 1st, Korn Ferry. That order does change year on year, that's the current order, and the list is complemented by the others: N2 Growth, Boyden, Stanton Chase, Transearch and DHR International. Amazingly, given the size of the market in China that I spoke about earlier, the largest Asian search firm, Bo Lee Associates, comes in 12th, a respectable 12th, and probably a one to look at in terms of growing into the future. Okay, so the delivery of executive search, either using an in-house team or going direct to that agency. I'm going to spend a few minutes now just talking about what are the key things for you to think about, whether you're delivering in-house or partnering with another company. Commissioning an organisation to go and research part of the industry is something that the executive search firms will do, but they tend to package it up with the rest of recruitment. An in-house team can subdivide some of the activities and separately brief out mapping activities. It's usually very effective, because what that enables you then to do is take that list of target candidates that has been mapped and put them through your own company's recruitment processes. You get great engagement with the candidate. You get a very bespoke recruitment process that's reflective of your own organisation. And you can build that relationship between people in your organisation and the candidates very precisely. However, if you are going out to an executive recruitment firm, you can think about how you want to engage with them. The two most common methods are through retained search and contingent search. The cost of executive recruitment is pretty similar whether you're using retained or contingent. What is different is the delivery method. So let's start with explaining what each are. Retained search is when you are commissioning a company, a single company, to undertake end-to-end recruitment search for you. In terms of paying for the search, you'll probably split that in 3 or more ways, with a payment up front, a payment on delivery of a long list or short list, and then when the successful hire is made, you'll pay the final payment. Now, contingent search generally means that you've briefed more than one company. You've fired out the request to a number of organisations that might be suitable for working with you in that particular marketplace. But what you're doing is starting a race. And those contingent firms are only going to get paid if they put the candidate into the race that's going to be the winner. So they will look to put just a few candidates as quickly as possible so the hire is made quickly and they are the winner. What it means is other organisations might be doing work that they're not going to get paid for. Now, the end result of all of that is that all the companies that you brief on a contingent search will do less work than they would do individually for a retained search. They'll simply be looking at the available candidates that they know that they've spoken to recently or are on a list. Now, in terms of time commitment, whilst the spend could be the same, the amount of money that you will pay the firm, whether it's retained or contingent, could be the same. The time commitment is totally different. A contingent firm will typically spend 8 hours or less working your vacancy. A retained firm will typically spend 10 times that, 80 hours or more, working on your vacancy. So the quality of the search you're going to get is completely different. And the quality of the search leads to the quality of the hire. And by quality of the hire, I just don't mean the person's capability for delivering for the firm, although that is important. I also mean the peripheral qualities, like diversity, like reach, like potential. So selecting for strengths and selecting for future potential, not just past delivery or past success. Now, most exec recruitment teams or heads of exec recruitment, if there's only one person, will generally try to go for a mix. Some of the work will be contingent, some of it will be retained, some of it they will do themselves in-house using other firms like research or mapping companies to target candidates, and using assessors or assessment or selection companies to help with the assessment and selection. Deciding on which firm to use by thinking about the role and thinking about where the role exists is great. But if you're going to engage a search firm that is already working for some of your competitors, they're not going to be allowed to search in those organisations. So the concept of off-limits is really important, and it's a key question you should be asking your supply base. So before you engage an organisation to deliver, understand just how much of the market they are allowed to access. Now, off-limits can actually destroy a company's ability to reach out to the very best people, particularly in functional markets where there's low numbers of people who are at the top of their game, or people in the functional markets that have a combination of skills, general management and IT, or commercial skills and other functions. So part of the selection process, of your thought process for which firm to use, has to include how much reach they have in the market. And here's where the hybrid model can come back to help you, because you can engage a research firm who is not bound by off-limits to fill some of those gaps. And it's quite common for an in-house recruiter to, in executive recruitment terms, to brief a research firm to do some limited search. That search to fill the gaps that they have either from a previous search they've done to bring it up to date, or to fill the gaps that are the off-limits of the supplier that you're currently using. In summary, executive recruitment can play a key role in delivering great people at the very top of an organisation. And the executive recruiter, the in-house recruiter, is crucial in that delivery. You can prepare yourselves for delivering at that level by understanding the market. I've today spoken about a few of the firms, but there's many more. And there's many more that are based in the countries where you're watching this programme from. Be aware of the global market, being aware of the local market, being aware that retained search is 10 times the time commitment than contingent. Being aware that most in-house teams use a hybrid approach, where they'll do some work themselves and they'll commission some work via agencies. It's not about giving your recruitment to a third party. It's about working in partnership. By any third parties, any suppliers that you're using are an extension of your own organisation. And there are some things I think are critical. So here's my list of the 10 things for you to think about as an in-house executive recruiter. It's critical to hire not just a qualified person, but the most qualified person. Be aware you're seeking a candidate with a rare mix of skills. You might use executive search when discretion is an issue, or there is a need for secrecy, or to avoid alerting competitors. When the incumbent is unaware of the recruitment activity and you're effectively hiring their replacement. You're looking to broaden the senior leadership team's diversity. The target candidates will not respond unprompted to advertising or a direct approach. You might need to target a global audience. You might need a result within a specific timeline. When you don't have the relevant skills or resources internally to conduct the search, use expertise. When the role is very public or a regulatory role, you need an independent view. Finally, partnerships are vital. Partnerships with the hiring manager, with suppliers, with other people in the industry like research firms and assessment. You can find out more about the executive recruitment market by talking to suppliers, by talking to the bodies that represent both the recruiters and the search firms. So the Executive Search Information Exchange is a great place to go, as is the Association of Executive Search Consultants. There are others. I've really enjoyed giving you a very brief insight to executive recruitment, and I hope to see you all soon recruiting out there in the global market.